Geico presents Yikes, another voicemail from your roommate.
Sup, roomie? Hey, a pipe burst in the basement. It's completely flooded. Anyway, I called for someone to fix it, but in the meantime, I was thinking we could finally have that indoor pool party we've always wanted. I got some cool swan floaty things already going. Could you pick up some chips on your way home? Later.
The Geico Insurance Agency could help keep your personal property protected, like if your roommate isn't the brightest pool float in the flooded basement. Visit geico.com to see how easy it is to switch and save on renter's insurance.
O'Reilly Auto Parts offers O-Rewards points in-store and online. Earn points on everything from replacement parts to tools and accessories. And for every 150 points collected, you'll get a $5 reward. Earn points any way you shop. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hello there, this is Jim the Keys bartender coming to you from Key Largo, North Key Largo. I'm here with Jenna Keller. We're back finally. It's been about 4 weeks.
Been a long time. You've been
since
traveling.
Almost 4 weeks. Last week I did an episode with Josh Castle.
Yeah.
The bartender. We did the recap on the Poland thing. If anything different comes up, I'd be happy to talk about it, but I realize people travel. So my event... The only thing unique about my trip to Poland is that it was me going on the trip to Poland. Because everyone else that's gone there has experienced
but
the same.
Poland is cool as hell.
Yep.
I mean, that's amazing. It's like most people go, okay, well, I'm going to go to New York for the weekend.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to go to Boston. But they don't say, oh, I'm going to Poland for a couple weeks. Like, that's cool as hell.
Yeah, but I'm self-aware. I realize, I'm not the only one unique to difficulties in travel and things like that.
You had difficulties in travel?
Everyone, nowadays it's always that way. Delays. The plane sat on the runway for like an hour without any AC on in Miami. People started freaking out.
You got sweaty on the tarmac in Miami.
What's funny? I'm going to talk about anxiety. I think what happens with age, I don't know. I was right before the show, Jenna and I were having a discussion how I handle anxiety. Right?
Because I get anxiety too, like very badly, but
I get severe.
But
it's trivial bullshit.
Yours is severe.
But it's only during trivial thing. In case of emergencies and stuff like that, in extreme situations, I go right into gear and stuff like that. I'm totally fine.
But
I think my body's wired for disaster. And then when things are going well and life is good, anxiety comes in. I don't know what it is. It's a physical thing. It's a physical thing where your brain starts kind of like a feedback loop.
Maybe?
What?
Maybe it's a chemical thing? Like usually anxiety is a chemical thing?
Yeah, it would be a chemical, but it could be chemical. But if my thoughts can change that reaction.
But
the first time it hit me really bad is about 3 or 4 years ago. We went when the girls went to Poland for a month, and I was by myself 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And I had this thing. It had started in a week and stuff like that. I couldn't leave the house. I couldn't do anything. I'm not being pussy. I don't want to sound like a pussy or anything like that.
You're not a pussy. You're
I didn't feel like leaving the house. I was depressed. I was this. I didn't want to tell the girls that, and we're away. Thank God I didn't have any serious thoughts about harming myself, but it was serious. It was serious. Now I see it, and it happened so weird before. When I was younger, I guess maybe I did. I heard some explanations from different people. Every psychiatrist, psychologist, philosophers always have this kind of thing, but a lot of it has to do with being mature, knowing so much that you're aware of things and that you don't turn it off. You don't turn off, and your brain's doing almost like a blackout when you're drinking. You know what blackout when you drink? When you're drinking, your body your body stays awake when your brain shuts down. Your higher functioning brain, the front part starts shut, and your body's still out there doing stuff, dancing, doing stuff. You don't have any. You're not storing any long-term memories and things like that. It's just on automatic pilot. You're out there doing it. That's what a blackout's like. Anxiety is like when some other being is controlling your body. It's like there's someone else in there, and they go, "Well, fucking, there's no reason for you to feel good today."
Oh my God! But
you should not be able to go.
Gives me anxiety. The thought of that gives me anxiety.
No, but I had a lot of things. I think what happened is I started the first time I guess had it when I was married. I was going into a new job, and I just complete meltdown. I went to a psychologist and stuff like that. Now I found meditation. So whenever I do that, I reflect.
Meditation, not medication.
Not medication. And I did have to explain that. People need it. You need it. Yeah, I know you need medication. I'm not poo-pooing medication.
Oh, no, absolutely. Some people really
you need it. Get it. For me, I rather use medication for fun than to survive.
That's what we just talked about, right?
For fun. Well, I mean, obviously, when real antibiotics and stuff like that, yes, and things that if I need to get a cure for them. If you have an
infection, if you have the clap, you want to use antibiotics. Yeah. But it is.
If you can use meditation to address that, I rather do that.
Yeah.
I use meditation. I listen to talks about it, and it turns out this one guy, he's an Indian guy. He's a professor, a business professor, right? Oh. And he gives these talks, and he says anxieties. He grouped them in like 8 or 10 different groups. There's anxiety about money, relationships. Also, he broke it down to 8 different things, but it all boils down to one thing. It's you having an idea or not having control over something you can't control, which is you can't control anything, really. You can't control other people. You can't control what you can do is you can endeavor to do something, right?
Yeah.
And you may succeed or you may not. He's suggesting if you detach yourself, and a lot of other people, great philosophers and thinkers say, if you detach yourself from the outcome, meaning you have a goal. I'm not saying not to have a goal, but don't detach whether the likelihood of being able to do it. That's one of the things. Is don't think about I'll only be happy if I succeed at it. It boils down to the journey. It's the journey, not the destination. And the destination is anxiety. You're thinking, this is what's going to happen. This is what's happening. This is what happened. I'm falling behind with my bills. Don't make enough money. If I make enough money, well, now you start making a lot of money. Now what's your problem? My relationship. I'm having problems with my relationship.
Okay,
there's always
something else.
Always something to fill that gap.
Always something else.
Everything's going perfectly with the wife and the bills and my job. Oh, I have a concern about my child. And then you have something like that. It could be world events. You could be word events. But you can't control any of that stuff.
No.
You can't.
No.
And that's the thing that allows me to cope when I start having those feelings. I realize two things kick in, and this guy didn't talk about it in particular, that anxiety is a fuel to do things. It's not stress and anxiety. It could be a good thing. It's an evolutionary development in human beings.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you weren't fearful, and we said this one, I know I used this metaphor before, but if you're leaving the cave in the morning and you're not ready to look out for the saber-toothed tiger or the grizzly bear or something like that when you're hunting, then they're going to get the jump on you.
Yeah.
And I always said this, it's the weirdest thing. In a short race, in a very short race, I think he's coming back. You think Tyler?
No, I hear my motorcycle. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And tapping into my anxiety because my husband is not a motorcyclist and I ride a crotch rocket, so I can hear it out front. Sorry.
Yep. Oh, here. Well, that's a reminder.
I'm being a little distracted.
You're distracted.
I am a little distracted.
And here we are in paradise in the Keys, the Florida Keys. And people say, well, what do you have to worry about down there? Well, what do we have? We have hurricanes.
He's fine now.
We have hurricanes. We have floods. We have other things. Okay. I know. I mean, talking about him riding around on his motorcycle doesn't really... It's not a visual.
The reason that it is so...
anxious.
Anxiety-ridden is because he has a shattered leg. Yeah. And there's a titanium piece that replaces part of the bone that he lost from riding a stupid motycycle. Yep. And this is my fast motorcycle that he just took.
I can feel. So I'm not. Tyler isn't my husband.
Yeah,
not that I have, but I still feel anxiety about him doing that because of the way you described that.
Yeah.
So that's the level of it in mine.
It's a little, yeah. So it's a little.
There are paradise is what happens.
Now, mind you, if it was one of my sons, it wouldn't concern me at all. But they were raised in that, and they have been on motorcycles since they were teeny little guys.
Yeah, but how about the people that
were
pretty
much sperm? They were sperm riding crotch rockets.
But aren't you concerned about the people that don't pay attention to their driving?
Well, absolutely. Although it's mini season down here, right? Mini lobster season. So that starts tonight.
We call them lobster mobsters.
That's
it down here. You know what? I do not hold. Once again, we'll talk about this. The lobster. Since we're over the anxiety talk and stuff.
They're
we
here.
Can't control them. We can't control them.
We cannot control them, but they're here now.
We don't have to. I don't believe there has to be a mini season. I don't get it. I think it came up with the TDC funding, the Tourism Development Council, and they go and say, well, maybe it came before them, but there probably was the idea, the perception was, here is give the regular Joe a shot, or Josephine a shot at the lobster before the opening of commercial season.
Yes. And our commercial season actually opens on August 6th anyway, so it's not like it's that far away.
Yeah.
But it's a big tourist thing. The hotels get massive amounts of booking, and people bring their own boats down here, and they want to come out and do lobster. And our lobster are not the same. So it's not a Maine lobster. These are spiny lobster.
I don't think they're so hot at all.
You know, actually, I love spiny lobster.
I don't like
to eat it.
They got to be cooked just right.
They do.
A regular lobster.
But a Maine lobster has pinchers. Ours do not. They have spines, so they look like antennae.
Yeah, antennae.
And and that's how you clean them. You break off one of their antennae, you shove it up their ass, you pull it out, and then that's how that works. I'm not kidding. I'm married to a captain, so I know how this stuff is.
What do you do?
You break off one of the antennae.
Yeah.
And you shove it up their ass. And you rip it out, and it pulls out their entire, endocrine system.
Yeah.
And therefore, you cook it after that. It's just like deveining a shrimp.
Uh-huh.
It's the same thing. It's just on a bigger scale.
Mm-hmm.
But the lobster are great. And here is the weird part about it is that Miami-Dade, if you want to lobster for mini season in Miami-Dade and this year specifically is the 24th, 25th, which starts tonight at 12:01.
Yep. To sunset.
First
on the 25th.
of all, you cannot dive at night, so you can only bully net, which is taking a boat in the water with big lights shining down, and then you can drag your nets around and try to find the lobster.
Yeah, it's an inverted net. Someone, this guy Ray,
inverted net,
Ray, a regular customer showed me. It's got a canter tilt to it.
Yes.
On it, and it looks like a wizard's hat.
It does. And then they just scoop up the lobsters if they can find them.
Yep.
But the lobster seasons, the mini season, is 2 days, which starts tonight.
Uh-huh.
So all the people are pretty much here. They're here.
Yeah. And they started arriving. Actually, they started arriving over.
It took our 72,000 population to 185 or so.
Yeah.
And it was funny because my son and I were looking it up earlier, but there's a massive amount of people in the Keys right now, and only because of 2 days and for lobster. And they get 6 lobster per day per permit.
Yeah.
Which makes no sense because if you go to Miami-Dade, your limit is much higher.
Yeah.
But they still come down here instead.
Well, they abuse it down here. There's a lot of people come down here and they make multiple trips out there.
Yeah.
They come in, drop their lobster, because if you don't get your ticket punched, they don't have a system like that.
Right.
As long as you're not in possession of lobster.
You think we're sitting on the water right now. So if any of these boats that are here from all my neighbors, they want to go out and they want to go lobstering, and they come back in with 6 lobster per person, and they put them back at their dock, and then they go back on the water, there's no way that any FWC officer or any Monroe County Sheriff, anybody could actually catch them at having more than they should. Well, I'm sorry, those are in our freezer. They were here from last year.
Okay.
Well, right?
Yeah. Yeah, there's the whole thing. That's the whole thing. There's a size. There's a 6-inch minimum from the carapace back.
The carapace, yes.
6-inch.
Yes. And to be big enough. And it takes 7 years for a lobster to get that big, by the way.
Yeah. Well, supposedly, I spoke to people about it, that you could clean out all the lobsters that are here right now, and they would still be replenished because of the circular nature of the eggs where they go into here. That's what I'm told. That's what I'm told.
Maybe, but it's still the 7-year time frame is what you have to worry about, because you could if you catch a lobster and you flip it over, right, and underneath, and even a Maine lobster, for people that don't understand what I'm talking about, that lobsters that don't have pinchers but they just have sticks, right?
Yeah.
If you flip it over, you can see the entire bottom of the carapace is covered in caviar, is what it looks like.
Yeah.
And those are all lobster eggs. 1 out of 1,000 of those will actually be viable. 1 out of 1,000. So if one, reproducing female lobster has 3,000 eggs on her bottom side, 3 of those might survive. Yeah. And it takes those 7 years to be big enough for you to harvest them legally.
Yeah, well, the long range thing, you get back to the idea behind it is in the summer doldrums right before the beginning of school year for locals and stuff like that. What you do is want to give a bump to the local industry, restaurant, inns, hotels, motels, stores. And in the long run, a lot of people come down here, they rent a place, and they cook them down here.
Well, they call it mini season, right? So mini season. It's not like there's mini lobsters. No. You can't take the miniature lobsters. It's mini because it's 2 days long.
2 days long.
And that's it.
Yeah.
But they rent our houses. They rent out our Airbnbs, even though you have to do them for a month at a time. They'll pay a monthly rate just to stay here for a week.
Yep.
Or
they'll say it's a monthly rate. Because someone said they just get. I heard about this side issue. A woman down here, a fucking old lady, she gets fined $10,000 for doing an Airbnb thing. I understand it's as a hotel, and if you're an innkeeper, you got to maintain certain amount of licenses and business permits and things like that in order to do business. And then somebody who decides I'll just rent my place, and that's your direct competition.
Yeah.
It's your direct competition. So, there are special things they could do. If you can get a house with 2-3 bathrooms instead of like a tiny hotel room, you got a big family. You don't have to rent like 2-3 rooms, and you can rent a whole house for the same or less than that. So, but
I'll keep my.
In the end, does it really, in the long run, does it do more damage or benefit? They come in here.
It's great
a small minority of them abuse it so bad. You're not going to take 2 extra lobster. They're going to take 400% over their limit. You don't break, people that tend to break the law, like a bank robber, because bank robber doesn't go, I only need $50,000. I don't need to take all the money in the bank. No, they take all the money in the bank. They take it all. That's a thief. Once you do it. Now, if you're respectful and you take, this is what you get. Those people, they get it or they don't get it. That's fine. But the ones that find it, they'll clean them all out. And they're going to they stay on that area until they get all those lobsters. They bring them in. They bring in small ones. They pop the heads off. They find them alongside the road.
Which is actually illegal. You are not supposed to break away the carapace from the tail until they are measured and in the boat and back to shore.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
They do all that, and they abuse it. They knock over coral heads in order to get at these, because underneath there's a lot of lobster.
I hope.
Good
luck. Good luck if they knock over a coral head with their fucking boat motor, because...
No, on purpose.
They're going to lose their prop shaft when they do it.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying on purpose. On purpose.
Yeah, right. On purpose. It's knocking over a coral head takes a lot of torque. And
they use pry bars and shit like that.
It's stupid.
You know?
And it doesn't make
It's destructive. And then it's all the pollution and thing like that. And last year there was no deaths. Hopefully we'll find out.
Usually there's one at least.
Well, next week we'll report whether it was.
But there's already been pre-arrests. There's already been pre-arrests.
Yeah. Oh, there's always all year round. There's people that take their poachers. Poachers, they take things without asking. It's a
or
poacher.
Having a permit.
Yeah, it's like the old thing, like in fucking Nottingham Forest, right? The King's Forest.
Yeah,
you can't. The forest. If you're living in this forest, right, and stuff, you can't kill a deer because that deer is the king's deer, not yours. They used to do that. They used to hang people or draw and quarter them for doing shit like that in Old England, married Old England. Now down here they're pretty severe.
I think you're caught. Quarter them.
They're pretty severe. What?
I think they should draw and quarter them.
Well, I understand the imagery and stuff like that. You know how I feel. The more brutal a society is, it becomes the baseline for the behavior of people, right? If you're going to be able to. Yeah, if you're able to chop off someone's hand for stealing, then you're able to push, if you don't like, eventually someday you may not like gay people and you throw them off the top of buildings, like ISIS does.
That's not the same thing.
No, I meant it comes brutal. You use brutal. No, not the same. It's not the same thing.
No.
But okay, pick the thing. Let's say we say pedophile. It's the worst thing in the world. And you do right automatically and you cut off their thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
No, because you decide that's the worst thing in the world, right? And it is bad. It is very bad. But what if someone comes into power, let's say the West Hill Baptist Church, the one up in thing, and someone came into power and said, well, the worst thing in the world is to be gay or unmarried or have unmarried sex or have an abortion or have anything like that. And they say that's the worst thing in the world. And then they go and institute the level of punishment that's been set as a standard for the most severe criminal, right?
That's what they look at as the most severe standard of a criminal. They're stupid.
No, but that's what, there are people like that. Are people like that, right?
Yeah.
There are people like that. They pick the one.
People are stupid.
Yeah, they are stupid. Like, someone has something on their pictures on their, someone has pictures on their computers. They solicit it. You know what? If they have pictures on a computer and they're not computer generated, they're real people performing, then you created a market. Let's say child pornography. You're a recipient for a market of something, and you are liable for receiving that. I understand that. But there's certain things like ideas and stuff like that where I don't know if it's necessarily a crime if there's nothing, no one was hurt creating and consuming, right?
Well, if people come here and steal my lobsters, I want to cut their hands off. I don't even care.
I understand you did that as a thing. We're at the 23 minute. We just through it.
Do we have to?
No, we don't have to. We should take a break. The one thing we wanted to talk about is when we come back, the cost benefit. No.
Of people coming here.
It's not, in the end, I think, in the end, like McLaughlin Group, wrong. It is a waste of time to have a lobster mini season. It costs us more than we get from it. That's all. It's like taking a girl out on a date to Smith & Wollensky's, right? And you get a great bottle of wine, something like that. You spend $400 or $500, and you don't even get a hand job.
Oh.
Not that it's tit for tat,
No.
but if that was your goal, was
But
to
if
impress
you were
her to get sex, and then all of a sudden,
you would say, "But I bought you pizza."
yeah, but I bought you pizza. Yeah,
But I bought you
no. I'm just saying, your resources you expended did not recoup anything in return.
Okay, well, I think this is a great time to take a break.
Yeah.
If you want to get your information about the Florida Keys straight from the locals who live here and the ones who love it here, we've got you covered. Visit 43keys.com as your source for everything Florida Keys. Sign up for our newsletter and you'll always be up to date on all the Keysy stuff that's going on down here. Go to 43keys.com. That's the number 4, the number 3, keys.com, and sign up today.
Okay, we're back. And what?
2 and 2.
Yeah, 2 and 2.
To remember Chuck Woolery
I know, 2 and
on
2.
the dating game, he would be like, "I'll be back in 2 and 2, 2 minutes, 2 seconds."
Oh, I thought you said I'm going to drop a number 2 in 2 seconds. Oh, okay.
Well, Jim's going to take a poop.
I'm going
now.
to take a poop break right here. No, I asked for a cozy, and they have
You
a
have
bucket
full
of cozies.
Yeah, you have
Wait,
koozies.
what is it? Ashes, a bucket full of cozies. Ashes, they all fall down. Remember the song? Pocket full of posies.
That's a pocket full of posies, not a bucket full of koozies.
Isn't that close, though?
Yeah, close enough.
It is close enough.
It's now Jim now celebrates with his half-size koozie, which fits a regular beer can.
But, no, so what
and
happened?
it's orange
I'll
with
drink this.
white flowers all over it. That's what he chose.
I think it's pretty. We are in the Florida Keys, and that is a tropical one. I'm wearing my Philadelphia Eagles hat here, but
Because that's so tropical.
it is tropical. The eagle, there's eagles, sea eagles. Oh shit! I hope I didn't think. So, oh my God, I had an idea and it just disappeared right there at the moment.
And you were talking about the Eagles.
No, it's not about. We're down in
Before
the Florida
that, I was
Keys.
teasing
We're down
you
in the
about-
Florida Keys. We were talking about this.
You're-
real men.
Real men.
Yeah, we're in the Florida Keys, and you have your fishermen and all that stuff. I was listening to this talk, discussion about the return of the gentleman. In this day and age, where guys, I don't know necessarily, the problem with guys is, and I'll say this, the way modern guys are, you're either, I think it's binary, they put it, you're either too touchy-feely, Mr. Sensitive, or you're total type A, aggressive guy, an asshole. You know, full speed ahead. I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks about me. I'm just going to go and do what I'm going to do. Right? And they think it's a binary. And they don't realize, I think it's a sliding scale. I think it's a sliding scale, much like a fader on a mixed board that I'm looking at right here. So you have your left and your right, and you have a mixture on it right here. So, is it possible to still be where women like bad? Sometimes these guys that say they're nice guys, you know, they understand girls and they become their friends and all that stuff.
You don't
and
understand any of us.
And they go into, I know, but they understand like, no, but they end up sensitive and friends, and they end up being put in the friend zone where they never get anything. Okay. I've been in a friend zone with, I tried to do that with a couple girls, and when I was single. Now I could be in a friend zone all I want because doesn't matter.
Well, you're in my friend zone, but that's okay. I know your wife.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're the friend zone. We're perfectly fine with the friend zone.
Yeah.
But when you're single, when you're out seeking, especially when someone is too, consensual adults, and the guy's interested, but he's so weak. He's so weak he can't even pause, post the thing and say, listen, we should be, we should be definitely screwing around. We spent a lot of time together. You should check it out and see how it is. Jerry Seinfeld broached that on the side. I don't know if you were listening. You weren't a big fan of it, but he broached it with Elaine because he had once dated Elaine, and they were friends for a long time.
Elaine.
He did.
And then he mocked her about her driving and her dancing. I remember that.
No, yeah, but he was one time they're together, and they were both like, it's a shame. Here we are. We dated each other at one time, but now we're friends. But we can't go. And they point to the bedroom. We can't, back there it was good, but right here's good. We don't want to lose this right here. With that also pointing to the bedroom being great, being also good. But it would be nice if we can keep this and add that. And in the whole idea right here, Jerry thought, that'd be great. I could do it. It would just be, with my friends. We're going to boom, and that's it. It was one of the most insightful episodes because it is true. It's absolutely true. I've done that before.
Okay, explain.
What?
How it's true? How is it true? Tell me.
Well, in my experience, I worked with one particular woman who I was friends with her. We were at work. And we used to travel around a lot and stuff, go out to places, go on vacation together and stuff. And one particular time, we're out one night and we decide, we came up with the same idea. Why not? We're together. Why not? And we're both attracted to each other. And I was not shy. Neither was she. And we did that. And we decided to keep it on the down low. Fine. We'll just do this, every so often.
Like
maybe
friends with benefits.
A couple times a year. Right?
Okay. Yep.
And then she ends up dating someone. Fine. I had already dated 3-4 other girls already. So it's cool. And one time I come in, I bring one of the new ones into the place of work. And she's like, I don't think this one's right for you. I'm like, what are you doing? Are you
cock blocking?
Are you suggesting that you're an arbiter of who I can and cannot go out with now? And I said, and it ruined it. It ruined the friendship. There was mistrust. There was, it's like you're judge. You question someone else's judgment. So you start viewing it. Well, if they like them, why would someone who liked me at one time like them and enjoy them? Well, life's like a smorgasbord, right? Sometimes you go for the ribs, or you can go for the chicken wings.
Oh yeah.
They're not close to each other at all.
No,
but they're both delicious.
There's nothing wrong with chicken wings.
Chicken wings are ribs.
Right.
Yeah. Or even egg rolls. Or soul food. I'm going to cover all the ethnic things right there. I got the Asian one. So it's all tasty smorgasbord. And so what was the point right there? We were talking about guys in the friend zone. And the friend zone are permanently there. Because you're pro women, you're pro thing, you support them with their battles against guys, right?
Oh, yeah, well, okay.
Yeah, you're a guy for anything, it's like you take your friend's side and stuff like that. And then the other guys look and you say, well, you're a fucking pussy. You know what I mean?
See, my husband was friend zoned for a really long time, but I didn't realize it. He was just my friend.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea, but I didn't know. I had no idea.
No, but a friend zone doesn't necessarily mean that you're Mr. Touchy-feely. They got a thing called a snag. It's called a snag, sensitive, something, and but whatever it is, it's a whole acronym for it. You're an asshole or a snag, and the snag is the touchy-feely one, and you're too friendly, you're too understanding of people's feelings and stuff like that. So, at what point in life was it considered to be unmanly not to be considerate of other people's feelings? Like that's not a masculine, being inconsiderate of other people's feelings, it's considered a masculine quality.
I just heard my motorcycle. It's back.
No, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Except like
ADD.
Shiny object.
Yeah. Squirrel.
Shiny object right over here. So at what point is that, and the return of the gentleman doesn't necessarily mean, yeah, I'm going to hold the door. Lucky I'm an older guy and stuff like that, but I'm going to hold the door. But I hold the door for everyone. I hold the door for everyone. When I get up there, I figure that's the way to do it. Because you're saying, one, okay, are you with me?
No, yes, I'm with you. I'm
Were you
listening.
waving at?
I was
She's like
motioning my son to go open the gate because my husband is back.
She's like a parrot. It's like
I
a
know.
parrot staring in a mirror and stuff like that. So, okay, here, I'm going to keep on talking. I guess I'm by myself right here. So,
I can hear the motorcycle, so I just had to, and my husband's a noob. He's a noob on the motorcycle, so I had to go have my son go out and, okay.
Okay, you're back with me?
I'm back now. Sorry. I was here the whole time. I was just multitasking. I'm a girl. We're good at that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a problem with this 57 genders and all this stuff.
Oh.
I'm thinking, no. What I'm thinking is maybe there are no types. Maybe there are no types. Maybe people are just individuals. How about that?
Oh, so somebody, I don't even know who it was. I saw it on.
No, but I mean, why even have to make it a type?
Right, yeah.
If you're to try, I'm not saying, I'm not.
An asexual, really? So why did you have to,
That's just a type.
I don't care.
And I don't think you need to. I don't need.
You are.
I think once you classify certain, it's like once you classify a type A, type B, and alpha. It's just like I was talking about the sliding scale with masculinity and the pussies and assholes, right? And it's sliding in between and stuff like that. Think of that. My idea, the apex of masculinity for me is Morgan Freeman.
Pretty sure that's called
in Shawshank Redemption.
Shawshank is one of my favorite
Redemption.
movies ever.
No, but the way he behaved. Because he was friends to people. He was a hard-nosed negotiator. He wasn't he didn't automatically go, Andy Dufresne became a friend when it took a while.
Andy Dufresne got out of solitary confinement.
No, but
he surprised him with a poster, and he didn't even charge him for it. Like Andy was a nice.
No, he was a friend. He was his friend, and he cared about it. He looked out for his group of guys. They were protected, and once they got protected, they tried to protect them against the sisters, they called them.
Yeah, I know.
And
they
stuff
took that sister.
Yeah. Well, that was the warden and the guys.
Well,
because that's what he was doing with it. He was doing for them.
He took care of his gift letter for his taxes. Mm-hmm. That's why. Mm-hmm. I know. I'm sorry.
But I'm talking about Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman type.
Yeah.
Meaning it there. So getting back to that, and being in the Keys, we have the Key Largo. As not being a mecca necessarily for gay men. There's a lot of gay women here. There's a high percentage. There's a lot of lesbians.
I'm from Minneapolis, which is very progressive. It's a very progressive city, so I'm used to that.
But for the small nature of this town, it's very.
It is very common.
Yeah, but when you go down to Key West, it's mainly. It's the mecca for gay men, younger gay men, and older gay men too.
I was going to say,
there's a lot.
Is a little bit more of a mecca for gay men, younger gay men, as well as drag.
I know.
And there's a very big difference between.
And you know, man, I think what happened is you had the American Psychiatric Association had a physician's desk. It's a book. It's the book that it puts all the different things in it, the disorders, and for years.
But it's not
homosexuality and transgenderism was treated as a disorder.
So
it was back in the 70s when there was a big movement to remove it and stuff like that. What I'm suggesting is. Once you get up to, all these things of different gender things, and then we're going to and then you start reflecting and think in the middle of the day and go, you know what? Maybe people are just individuals.
Yeah.
Maybe people are individuals, and we can respect. I'm not saying, as long as you're not, that we do draw the line in the sand between, juveniles and adults. People that have the capacity to make a decision.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's
I so agree. I don't ever agree with you. How is this working? I so agree with you right now. I so agree with you.
Yeah. So I think it's important if you're a person that was transgendered and or is transgender or what transsexual to be taken away from as a disorder and just putting in as a type. I understand.
It's not a disorder.
I know.
You're
I
right.
understand they put it in as a type, a distinction, but maybe it isn't a distinction.
How about
maybe
they're just people?
we are the smorgasbord of it. But they need. I understand the pride thing because first of all, they think of all the time. You got to march after that. Every time you ever think about a march, a protest march. I'll tell you. Give me an example of something that's far from here. Northern Ireland. Okay.
Okay.
Northern Ireland is, if some of my listeners you're not familiar with, hundreds of years ago, Britain occupied, up until actually right before World War I, they occupied the whole country of Ireland, which many countries do, occupy smaller neighbors and stuff like that, and use their land and their people as a workforce and stuff like that. It's just, that's the way countries behave when they're juvenile countries. Juvenile. They're not advanced enough to realize, hey, these are people that maybe have their own aspirations and want to raise their own fucking families. Why not? But not being ruled by someone overseas. But it's not particularly the British were bad at doing this because we did the same thing to the American Indians and we did the same thing in the Philippines after the Spanish-American War where we took over from the old Spanish thing in Puerto Rico and that and all this far-flung empire. That in Ireland at 1916, I think it was, they signed an agreement. I think it's, I forgot the name of the agreement, but it ceded the whole southern part and it left 6 counties up north in the United Kingdom that were predominantly, the population was predominantly Protestant, and they wanted to remain because they didn't feel, I don't think they identified more with the British, and they didn't feel like their rights would be protected in a Roman Catholic Ireland. And they probably chose correctly because for years you couldn't get an abortion or a divorce in Ireland until recently. And the church went hand in hand with the government and stuff like that. And we all know what is coming to light in these countries about what the church did. And I'm still consider myself a Roman Catholic, but
church versus state.
Yeah. So every so often, the Northern Irish had the Protestants and the Catholics. You had the Sinn Féin, the IRA, bombing, and then you had the Ulster Defense Force doing the same thing, attacking Catholics, killing Catholics, and Catholics killing Protestants. And then every season they do it's called marching season. Marching season. These guys are orange. They wear these orange bands. They're called Orangemen, and orange was denoting that you were Protestant. Because the flag of Ireland is green, white, and orange. Okay. It's supposed to show it's multicultural, multi-religious and tradition, but the orange thing really didn't kick in a republic until recently. And up north, they wore orange to show that they were Protestant, and they marched to they would march through Catholic neighborhoods as to instigate a emotional response. Say, we realize that you guys are having 6 kids in each of your family in about 100 years. We're gonna be a minority. And they did. They are eventually. They're almost a minority right now. So they want to show that they're still there. Just like the gays did at Stonewall in New York when they started protesting in the late 60s, early 70s, something like that, and civil rights marches going through and say, you want to stand up and say, hey, we're here, we have rights, and we want to be respected. And that's where Gay Pride Parade comes in.
I think it's funny, though, because like when you find like, and this is kind of like a side note, Irish Catholic, like side note, your reputation in the U.S. is, if you are an Irish Catholic, you're like one of like 13 children.
Yeah.
Because
I'm one of 5.
They just keep happening.
4. One of 4. Look, I even added one. I even added one. But
Irish Catholic is you.
No, what happens? And the way I view it is, it's mainly. We're getting off in a thing because we're at the end of the.
I said side note.
42 minutes. No, what I'm saying, no, I don't mind the side note. I believe it's socioeconomic, meaning once you start making money, you don't have to have 12 kids to send them out. The kids are your retirement plan.
In the farms, yes.
It's your retirement plan.
Yes.
You got to have all those kids. You go there and marry them off.
Catholic in downtown Philly. You didn't need to have fucking 19 kids, dude. That's not how that works.
Well, not just the Catholics. The Italians had them too.
Oh, well, yeah. But,
and the Polish.
Yeah.
And it was a Catholic thing about marriage, sex. The sex was prior to Vatican II, and even recently, sex is considered an act of procreation, not enjoyment. Not enjoyment.
Pigs have sex for enjoyment.
I know, but I'm just saying, in the views of the church until recently, it was an act of
the church can suck my ass.
I know. It's easy for you not to say that. I could say that too to be outrageous, but there were a lot of good things that it did.
Outrageous.
It's a lot of good things it did.
I have 3 sons.
I can name.
I love my baby.
The preservation of classical literature wasn't for. If it wasn't for monks, okay, conversations off mic really don't work here on the podcast.
Sorry. I
know. We stopped for like 20 seconds to be like, oh, I'm turning to the other.
Yeah.
This is enough of this stuff. Fuck, I could be quiet in my own. I don't need to listen to someone else to be quiet.
I was listening to Matthew.
I know, but whenever
what
it's done.
What he said was...
Just tell me to put it on pause.
What he was saying was that he gets the moral compass of it. He gets the moral compass of the theological
concept
of the church.
Yeah.
Like you should be married and have one wife and have kids. He gets that part. Like you should be loyal to your partner and make a life for yourself. But what he's not agreeing with is that you should ban yourself from birth control and have 17 children and torture your fucking poor wife until her uterus falls out.
No, it was
like have as many children as you could possibly, and that's what.
Just think of that. The way they developed these nation states and countries, where especially in the Roman Catholic Western Europe, the church would sanctify the coronation of a lot of these kings. They're the Church of France, the Church of Spain, and that the monarch was the protector of the church. And in order to protect their assets, they needed the king to be successful. In order for the king to be successful, he had to have a vibrant population. When I say vibrant population, they had to have a growing one. Because they needed soldiers.
Like with big chins and...
No, not the intermarriage part. Yeah, that's a different thing. That's how you share. It was I always had this theory, and this is the last thing I have. Okay, first of all, we started out talking about men, the difference between assholes and pussies is a sliding scale and stuff like that. And we talked about different types. Everyone's an individual. Everyone's a fucking individual.
Yeah.
My thought for today is I'm going to go back retro. I had a discussion with someone while I was in Poland, and we were talking about the United States was mainly an offspring of the Great Britain. And I said, yeah, I see what I mean. But I said to him, I made an offhanded comment and said it was all they had to do was a little change of policy, and then France would have been in charge. And he goes, how so? And I said, well, the French didn't send their rural population. They had the France in the 1700s had the largest population in Europe, more than Russia. You always think because Russia's was through famine and wars and all that stuff.
I always think that because Russia is so massive.
Yeah.
Their
but
population
no, it was spread out. It was only recently they got big because it stabilized with modern times and stuff like that. But France, and before the 2 great wars where they killed all the guys and stuff, France should be right now, there should be like 80 million Frenchmen and stuff like that. But they killed off so many men in World War I and World War II that they didn't have that exponential growth. France could have sent, if they sent let's say 1/10 of their population, which was overcrowded, 1/10 of the population to the New World. All that stuff that English speak, we'd be French speaking here.
They sent them to Canada, remember?
No, they didn't send 1/10 though. They didn't send a lot. It's just a couple 10,000s of them. A couple 10,000. The British used a system of, where they had people, they would sign on the indentured servitude and things like that, and they come over. And it's a great way to get rid of people that, let's say if they stayed behind and said, oh, you got to overcrowd and stuff, but then we can occupy this land. See, France was very short-sighted in not sending more people over here and be more proactive. And they had they would have had access to the trees, the wood that you needed for building ships and all that stuff.
I just think they set him in the wrong direction because they all landed in Canada, in Alberta, Canada.
No, what they
I am a sea-doo dealer. And
what happened? What happened
for English?
No, the English thought this whole thing out. They sent their criminals to Australia, all the way the opposite side on the globe.
New Zealand.
What?
The criminals went to New Zealand.
Not Australia?
No, New Zealand.
Australia was the colony.
New Zealand is where the criminals went.
Google that, and we're going to come back with that. We're going to be signing off. We're going to Google
talk
this.
about that on the next
the criminals, because we have a lot of criminals down here, and we're talking. And we're got a controversial subject who's segue into that: the Muriel boat lift.
Muriel boat lift.
Okay. This is Jim the Keys bartender.
Next time.
Until next time. Wait. What other? What's this song?
Should we make another noise? I made a noise.
Oh, I forgot. The song in Poland on the radio, Milli Vanilli, is still big.
Oh, what?
Yeah. It's a tragedy to believe that the dream is over. And I'm never going to forget the day we met. Girl, I'm going to miss you. I'm a horrible singer, but only slightly worse than Milli Vanilli. Because it was horrible. It was horrible. And they played that 20 times. I heard that song. I said, they really fucking like Milli Vanilli.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay, for now.
Have a nice
Well, this
night,
dream
guys.
is over.
More than 1 million people in the United States are living with HIV. Know the facts about HIV to keep people alive. Get tested and get treatment. When we support people living with HIV, we make it easier for them to live healthy lives. We all have the power to stop HIV stigma. For more information, visit health.pa.gov. Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Johnny got a toy golf set when he was 3, and from that day on, he was hooked. All he wanted to do was golf, golf, golf. He'd be on the links before school, after school. All he ever wanted was to go pro. And then, one day, when he was holding his